3 years ago, I was not yet 20 years old, coming from a family that could only be described as ordinary. My parents, toiling day in and day out with modest incomes, made every effort to make ends meet. We lived in a small, nondescript house in a quiet neighborhood. The walls were not only a little faded, but also peeling in places, revealing the layers of paint from years past. The furniture, old and worn, had clearly seen better days. The sofa sagged in the middle, and the armrests were frayed. The dining table had scratches and stains that told stories of countless family meals. Despite the financial constraints, my parents held high hopes for my education. They believed that a good education was the key to a better life for me, a way to break free from the cycle of financial struggles they had endured. Every evening, after a long day of work, my father would sit with me, his tired eyes still filled with encouragement. As he helped me with my homework, my mother would often talk about the importance of studying hard, her voice soft but firm, as she cut coupons and planned the family's budget. Thus, they screamed and saved, sacrificing their own comforts and desires. My mother gave up buying new clothes for herself, and my father stopped his weekend fishing trips to save money. They did all this to ensure I could attend a private, free-book school. Even though the tuition fee of 2万yuan a year was a staggering burden for our family, they constantly encouraged me to study hard and make the most of this opportunity they had worked so hard to provide. On campus, I observed many of my peers chasing after luxury brands and expensive cosmetics. Their designer handbags would glisten in the sunlight, and their flawless makeup would be the envy of many. I didn't have a strong concept of this at that time. However, deep down, I still yearned for a better life. I discovered that it wasn't the students from rich families who were most likely to be tempted into the wrong path. Instead, it was those like me, with average family conditions, who had seen a bit of the world but couldn't easily obtain a better life. I knew that those who claimed to be emotionally hurt, had family difficulties, or chose this path for some other reasons were not the real causes. Ultimately, it was human inertia at play, driven by the psychology of wanting something for nothing. Initially, I didn't step onto this path. At school, I had plenty of free time. I had been in a few relationships, but none turned out positively. I wanted to earn some pocket money and go on a trip to experience a different life. During this period, I got acquainted with some senior sisters from the etiquette team. We often went shopping together and shared each other's secrets. These sisters showed me their seemingly privileged lives and taught me that in this world, money was the true love for a young girl under 20. Facing such temptations, my judgment was extremely limited. There was a weekend night when I received a call from a senior sister. She asked me to go to the bar to help out. That was my first time getting involved. Since then, I never turned back. During the postgraduate entrance examination, I met a financier who was very kind to me. I had probably only been preparing for less than 4 months. The financier helped me connect with the tutor and provided a review scope for specialized courses. It took me 3 months to memorize. In the end, both major courses achieved a good score of E38 points. My grades in politics and English benefited from my previous learning foundation and attending some tutorial classes. I must admit that my first experience was confusing. I didn't even realize I was on this path. I still remember vividly that night. I was placed to sit next to a 180 cm tall, fair-skinned man with glasses. He wore an impeccably tailored suit and had a refined air about him. His eyes were sharp but kind. He looked very elegant and just drunk throughout the night without any inappropriate behavior towards us. At the end of the evening, the senior sister was taken away by an obese man. The man's face was red from drinking, and he laughed loudly as he led her away, without even saying goodbye to me. It was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I had also drunk quite a bit but was still conscious. I was thinking about how I could get back to the dormitory door without being noticed by the dorm supervisor. Later, the 180 cm uncle came up to me and simply said 2 words, "Let's go." I followed him and left. The driver dropped us off at a 4-star hotel in the new district. The lobby was grand, with shiny marble floors and crystal chandeliers. It became the place where we would meet later. That night, everything happened so naturally. Maybe it was because I had a crush on him, so I didn't resist. When I woke up the next morning, the uncle was gone. I took a shower and walked around the room. I saw breakfast in the living room. The table was set with fine china and silverware. There were pastries, fruits, and freshly brewed coffee. I sat down and ate some. Just as I was about to get dressed and leave, the phone rang. I didn't answer the first 2 calls because I was worried it might be a call I shouldn't answer. I answered the 3rd call, and it was the 180 cm uncle. He asked me if I had breakfast, and I replied that I had. Then he said to let me wait for him in the room for half an hour. When he returned to the room, I suddenly felt very embarrassed. I didn't talk to him but just pretended to be playing with my phone. My heart was pounding, and I didn't know what to say. He sat on the couch next to me and asked me, "Your senior sister said that you are still studying. Is your living expense enough?" I replied that it was. He said, "Well, I'll give you 15000 yuan a month as your pocket money." I was a little confused. My mind was filled with what could be bought with these 15000 yuan. Face masks, clothes, bags, travel. I didn't realize it then. In this way, I embarked on the path of being kept. When he saw that I didn't speak, he got up and said he would take me back to school first. When I got back to school and was in bed, I slowly realized that I was about to be kept. I didn't even know his name, what he did, or whether he had a family and children. I started to feel a little panic and didn't even have lunch. I lay in bed until the afternoon. Later, the money was transferred to me through my senior sister, and she took some of the benefit fee. When I saw the bank SMS prompt, I suddenly felt relieved. I thought it didn't matter who he was or what he did, as long as I could get what I wanted. That was enough. However, as time passed, I began to realize the cost of this lifestyle. I started to reflect on my choices and think about my future. I realized that I couldn't rely on someone else forever. I needed to find my own path and use my own strengths to realize my dreams. I started to study harder, participate in various club activities, and improve my abilities and qualities, I began to understand that true happiness and contentment come from inner growth and self-realization, not material possessions. I started planning my future, setting goals, and working hard for them. I no longer pursued fleeting pleasures and vanity but instead sought long-term happiness and peace of mind. Now, I've emerged from that period of confusion, found my direction, and also discovered my true self. I know that no matter how difficult the road ahead might be, I will face it bravely and use my own hands to create my own bright future.